Lords. First oral question, Baroness Quinn.
My Lords, I beg to ask leave for the question in my name to be posed.
My Lords, together with the rail industry, we want to modernise the passenger experience by moving staff out from ticket offices to provide more help and assistance in customer-focused roles. Ministers and department officials regularly engage with industry, including the rail delivery group and train operating companies, to discuss a wide range of topics, including how best to operate stations and serve passenger needs in the most efficient and effective way.
My Lords, the Minister of State keeps saying that this proposal is all about getting staff out of ticket offices and onto platforms to help people. But in my local station, Alnmouth, the staff already help people both in the ticket office and on the platform, and therefore this proposal would represent a deterioration in quality, not an improvement. Can I ask the Minister a simple question? In cases where there is a clear majority of the public against ticket office closures of their particular station, will their views be listened to, and will there be no question of their views being overridden?
I think the important thing to understand here that this is a genuine consultation, and that the people who have received all of the responses to the consultation are independent. They're independent passenger bodies. It's Transport Focus and London Travel Watch. So they will look at the responses that they get. They will look at the proposals put to them by the TOCs. They will listen to concerns, and they will refine proposals with the TOCs to ensure that appropriate levels of service are being offered.
And will the figures be published? Does my noble friend not realise that we have the feeling, many of us, that it has been decided that this is what we want, and many of us don't?
The independent passenger bodies will indeed publish their responses to each of the train operating companies' proposals.
Will the people on the platforms be prepared to help the elderly and the disabled to get their tickets at ticket offices which don't exist?
And that is the whole point. They will be more than happy to do so, because what we want to have is multi-skilled individuals working for the railways such that they can help all sorts of passengers with a varying range of different needs.
My Lords, may I share with the Minister the experience of my local station, which is there is only ever one member of staff on duty, and that member of staff opens up the station in the morning, opens up the toilets, opens up the waiting rooms, helps people get their tickets either sold directly or with these complicated machines, and is in fact the station manager. It is this one person is essential to the operation of the station.
And I hope that the Noble Lord has fed that back into the consultation, and that will be taken into account, as I say, by the independent passenger bodies.
My Lord, is my noble friend.
Identical scheme a few years ago. It went extremely smoothly. Nobody noticed or complained about it once it had been implemented, and it's been greatly to the benefit of passengers.
And of course, my noble friend is exactly right. It was a former Conservative Mayor of London that took the step for ticket offices in tube stations. The current Mayor of London came in with great fury and said he was going to review the whole thing and make changes if appropriate. Not a single change was made, my Lords.
My Lords, it's become clear that My Lords, it's become clear that over the last year, several train companies have ceased to recruit new staff for ticket offices and therefore have been shutting them gradually by default. Can the noble lady, the Minister, give us an assurance that the government did not sanction this, and that any review that takes place of the 700,000 people who've responded to the consultation will take into account very firmly the balance of opinion amongst those respondents?
I'm very concerned to hear what the Noble Lord has to say, and I hope that she'll be able to provide me with the evidence such that we can look into this further, because it is the case that there are 980 DfT-regulated ticket offices, and that has been the case for a very, very long time. So if ticket offices are closing, as she says, and again, I'm not aware that they also should have gone through the ticketing and settlement agreement. So be very happy to look at the evidence that she has.
Lord, the ticket office in my local station does not do advance tickets. How then can a would-be passenger who wants to book ahead and thus save quite a lot of money get an advance ticket with no ticket office?
Obviously, I cannot comment on the Noble Lady's ticket office specifically, but it is the case that 99% of transactions at ticket offices last year could have been made either through a ticket vending machine or online.
My Lord, any consultation...
I travel from Banbury to Marylebone every Monday, and when I approach the ticket office, there is at least one person ahead of me, and I do hope that there will be flexibility in this. Maybe some travel offices don't need that, but places that are busy certainly do.
My noble friend is absolutely right. This is not a one-size-fits-all process. This is a consultation, and we will look to see what the independent passenger bodies say when they have finished reviewing all of the consultation responses, and we believe that will be towards the end of October.
My noble friend already mentioned the situation for disabled and elderly passengers. They already face barriers to using public transport, which will be made much worse by these proposals. Given that only 3% of blind people are able to use the ticket vending machine, how will the government ensure they can still use the railway network?
The government has been consulting with various accessibility groups over the period, and obviously alongside industry have taken their views into account. That has included invitations to the Royal National Institute for Blind People and indeed Deaf People, Autistic Society, Multiple Sclerosis Society. I have an entire list which I won't read out right now. But what I will say is that obviously accessibility is the heart of what we're doing here. We're trying to improve passenger service. And what I can say, actually, in the ORR's latest annual consumer report, passenger assistance bookings have increased significantly. So I'm delighted to say that disabled people are coming back to the railways.
Proposals, it will not be possible to buy a senior rail card or a disabled person's rail card at the vast majority of stations, whether there are staff there or not. Is that right?
I can't say whether that's right, because obviously the consultation process is still going ahead. At this moment in time, 43% of stations don't have any staff at all, and so you wouldn't, Noble Lord would not be able to get those rail cards at those stations. But all of those considerations are being taken into account. We do want people to travel on the trains. We do need them to get their tickets and their rail cards. And of course, all of those are very important considerations as we go through this consultation process.
My Lord, any consultation will clearly be a snapshot of the situation now and maybe in the near future. What happens if passengers at a certain station find that there is no help when they need help, particularly for ticket machines or for advice? How can they feed that into the process to make sure that this problem is rectified?
Well, I think that my noble friend makes a very important point, because of course that could happen now, and I would encourage anybody who feels that they don't get the service that they need from the railways to get in touch with that train operating company, because it could be that circumstances have changed, more people are travelling, different types of people are travelling from a certain station.
This reference blind people. I stood behind a blind lady the other day in my local station when I was getting my ticket to come to London, and she was completely confused. She had no idea how to use a ticket machine, and the chap in the ticket office was able to help her, to comfort her, and to tell her that she would be all right. I find it impossible to understand what the noble lady is trying to make us believe, that people like that are not going to be disadvantaged. They are.
Yeah. That same person doesn't have to be in that ticket office in order to help that person, and that is what we're saying, because there are all sorts of different people who need different help, and having somebody in a ticket office whose time is not being used effectively does not help passengers.
My lords, I was not planning to ask a question, but I do find this a completely shocking proposal. Can the Minister give us a generic email address publicly so that it goes out across the BBC and everywhere else, where people can write in and express their objections, because disabled and vulnerable people will be disadvantaged?
I can't give a generic email address, although I'm sure the Labour lady could contact Transport Focus. But it is the case that the train operating companies have publicised this consultation widely. And I do think that it's worth pointing out something that the Rail Minister said very recently in a Westminster Hall debate. The consultation is ongoing, but at this stage he does not expect a material reduction in the number of hours when ticketing expertise is available at station. That will help the noble lady over there with regards to people who have sight deficiencies, and it'll help all people who need greater assistance at train stations.
Second oral question, Lord Carrington.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask the